Good evening. Welcome to the Monday, March 6, 2023 board meeting. Please stand for a moment of silence followed by the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
School bus drivers road today.
Welcome. Tonight we have a presentation by Mr. Rod Williams. Mr. Williams?
Good evening.
Good evening.
The superintendent asked me to come and see if we can clarify some things as far as what is and what isn't bullying on the screen. I prepared a presentation to go over some ins and outs of it. As you can see right there, the Madison County School District does have a bullying policy. It is policy number 5517.01 in the school board policies. The DOE definition of bullying, I'm not going to read all of it. It's systematically and chronically inflicting physical hurt or psychological distress on one or more students or employees. And it includes instances of cyberbullying. And then bullying may include, but not limited to, repetitive instances of teasing, social exclusion, threats, intimidation, stalking, physical violence, theft, harassment, public and private humiliation, destruction of property. Down below, in red, is the key elements of bullying, the things that we focus on when we try to determine whether it is or isn't bullying. It's got to include those three elements. Number one, it's got to be repeated. Sometimes when, as we'll get to further down in the presentation, just one time somebody saying something to another student or person is not considered bullying. Number two, it's got to be intentional, and number three, it's got to involve a power imbalance. And again, we'll go over what exactly a power imbalance is in a few seconds. A couple of examples really quick, and I have some other examples throughout the presentation. Students that's using a cell phone to take a picture of another student using a bathroom and shares it electronically. Student has spread nasty rumors about the school, about one person in a conversation, note, or electronically, and students that repeatedly teases another student in a mean way, calling him or her inappropriate names, making fun of his or her appearance, the way he talks, the way he dresses, etc. And again, these have to be repeated instances. A non-example is a student calling another student an inappropriate name that one time. Three types of bullying that are prevalent: verbal bullying, that's saying or writing mean things. It includes teasing, name calling, inappropriate sexual comments, taunting, and threatening to cause harm. Social bullying, sometimes referred to as relational bullying, basically is leaving somebody out on purpose, telling other kids not to be friends with somebody, spreading rumors about somebody, and embarrassing someone in public. Physical bullying includes hurting a person's body or possessions. Physical bullying can be hitting, kicking, pinching, spitting, or tripping, or breaking someone's things. A lot of people don't understand that if you constantly break somebody's things, their pencils, their bags, their bottles, or things like that, that's a form of bullying. And then, of course, making rude and hand gestures towards another person. Some things that are not considered bullying, not liking someone. It's very natural that people, don't like everyone around them. And sometimes when our students feel like another person that doesn't like them, they consider that bullying. And it can be verbal or nonverbal. Being excluded, again, from a group. You got a group of athletes, for example, and then you have another kid that wants to be part of that group. That group doesn't necessarily have to make him comfortable or make him part of that group. Just him not being in that group is not considered bullying. And then accidentally bumping into somebody, if it's a natural accident, it's not considered bullying. Again, that's that first time and considering how the person is feeling that day. If they're feeling in a nice mood, they can wait for the person to say, "Excuse me, I'm sorry." But if they're in an upset mood, a bad mood, they can consider that, they can call that bullying, but just bumping into a person that first time is not necessarily bullying. Another instance of not being bullying, if somebody tells a joke about another person that one time, it's not bullying. It may be mean and harsh, but not considered bullying. A lot of issues that we have here are arguments. We have students that argue back and forth over time, and if one gets the best of another, they consider that bullying. It's not considered bullying if they're arguing and they're going back and forth. Expressions of unpleasant thoughts or feelings regarding others. Sometimes we have issues with this. I always tell my kids, it's not your business what other people think about you. Because this is what happens sometimes. They can be sitting in a group, listening to another group, and whoever's in the group might say, "Well, I don't like Joey." And they would take that to be bullying. That's not necessarily bullying because they're not talking to Joey and they're not pointing Joey out. So there's a difference, again, between bullying and conflict. Conflict is another word we use for arguments and disagreements. And I'll read this real quick. It seems today media and often educators label any type of aggression or disagreement between people as bullying. If two students fight, it's bullying. If one football team beats another team too badly, it's bullying. If one student doesn't want to play with another student, it's bullying. But many times what is called bullying is not bullying at all. For example, bullying is not actually about conflict or anger. You don't have to be angry at someone to bully them. Bullying tends to be more about arrogance, control, and power. It's the feeling that I'm better than you, I have the right to treat you this way. All bullying is mean, but not all mean behavior is bullying. So if bullying is not the same as pure aggression and conflict, what is it? All right, a couple of examples of conflict. I'm not going to go through all of them for the sake of time, but again, it's talking about conflict being a struggle between two or more people having different goals or desires, different ideas or different opinions. Two students on the same committee together, they don't agree how to decorate a banquet, for the banquet. That's a disagreement. Two boys getting into a fight after a rough play in a football game. We see this all the time. Kids at PE, they're playing, somebody gets rough. They consider that bullying, which it's not. Two girls get into an argument when they realize they wore the same dress to a party. A girl wanted to attend another girl's birthday party, but she wasn't invited. All right? Girls on the drill team disagree about what routine they're going to play in a pep rally. And then the last one is students begin spreading bad rumors about each other because they disagree on a band director, which band director was best, last year's or this year's. And again, they're spreading bad rumors about each other. So that's a conflict. Bullying, the aggression is usually one-sided. There's usually no disagreement, there's usually no disagreement. There's an imbalance of power. One side enjoys interaction, the other side doesn't. And the bully usually is not angry at the person. In conflict, both sides are aggressive. There's a disagreement. There's no obvious imbalance of power. Neither side enjoys the interaction and often angry or frustrated at the person. So I'm going to give a couple scenarios and then we'll get out of here. On Thursday afternoon, the results of who made the cheerleader team was posted. On Friday during lunch, a group of girls who made the team walked by a girl who did not make it. One of the girls say, "See you at cheerleading practice today." They all start laughing and walk off. Later that day, they repeat their aggressive behavior at lunch and in Spanish class. The target goes on to the counselor's office in tears. Is this bullying?
It's playing.
All right. It's mean, and let me make sure. Yeah, it's mean for sure. But the fact that they did it more than one time makes it bullying. And of course, it being a group, that shows your imbalance of power.
They told the truth.
A whole bunch of them against one. Julie's mother called the school because she claims her daughter is being bullied because Laura doesn't want to be her daughter's friend anymore. She goes on to say that Julie hasn't been invited to the birthday party at Laura's house and rarely talks to her anymore. Mom reports this situation has devastated Julie. She can't do her schoolwork. I just don't know what we're going to do. Is this bullying? All right, answer is no. The fact that one student doesn't want to play with another student is not bullying. Okay, we see this case a lot of times. Scenario 3, every time Trevor speaks in class, Howard makes a comment about how gay he sounds. He also comments about other students' ethnicity and religious beliefs. Is this bullying?
He's feeling bad.
All right, it's definitely bullying towards Trevor, but also due to the nature of the comments that he's making towards the other class members, that can be considered harassment based on religious, sexual orientation, or ethnicity. All right, last one. It seems as if everyday Colin, who is an extreme ADHD, and Matthew has autism spectrum disorder, they start calling each other names and taking each other's things. Both often lose control of their anger. Both Colin and Matthew, who consider each other friends, are about the same size and hang out with the same group at school. Is this bullying? That's not bullying. That would be considered conflict, right? So one of the questions was, how do our students report bullying? On each of their class link pages, there's an icon there that says bullying with the little red slash through it right there. Students can go on and click that link and fill out a bullying report, which will come to me and then end up at the administrator's office. Students can also make their reports to the administrators or teachers or adults at the school that they feel like they need to talk to. The key in that being is the report has to be made. A lot of times students will go home and tell their parents, but not tell an adult at the school, so that we can jump into action and try to investigate it.
Mr. Williams, you want to talk about how we as a district, how administrators, how we're keeping track of it being a repeated action?
Yes. So once a student comes with a complaint of bullying, we create a referral and a file system. So the referral is created to document that this child is being accused of bullying. At the end of the investigation, depending whether the referral is substantiated or unsubstantiated, then we'll go and change whether the child receives consequences or not. So for every bullying report, the administrator is to create an investigative checklist. They're supposed to call the parents and inform the parents that your child either filed a bullying complaint or your child had a complaint filed against them. If a child is found, if the bullying is found to be unsubstantiated, it'll stay on Skyward, but it will not be a referral. It will be a tracking system in case Joey gets 3 or 4 unsubstantiated bullying complaints. Then we know we got to look into that a little deeper, because there may be a pattern.
We needed some way to track, because he says bullying is repeated offense, it's not a one-time thing, and we had no way of knowing whether it happened repeated. And so now we have a system in place so we can tell whether it's repeated actions or not.
Well, let me ask this question, please. He's saying that if anybody has complaints of bullying, refer to him, refer to the administrators or whoever, but there should be a chain of command of who you first refer it to, so that you can better keep up with it. Because if a complaint is hanging here, there, and everywhere, he has one, the administrator has one, the teacher has one. So how do you identify that?
Yeah, it ultimately it relies on the administrator to do the investigation.
And so that's what I'm saying. It should be a chain of command if you want to keep up with the bullying.
But it depends on who they decide to handle the bullying. So, for
Well,
instance,
then you're not competently keeping up with it, because you got a bullying complaint here to you, got a bullying complaint to the administrator, got a bullying complaint to the teacher, and everybody got it hanging out there.
But all of it will wind up with the administrator. If they
Well,
report
like
the
I
bullying
said,
to
the
me,
chain of command.
it will go to the administrator. At the end of the day, when we finish with the process, it will go to the administrator.
Well, why don't it go to the administrator in the
Because some
beginning?
people do not feel comfortable going to the administrator, and we do not want that to be a
Well,
hindrance
all of us don't
of
feel
them.
comfortable doing what we're supposed to do.
Well,
But,
These are
if
children.
it happens
But
in the
there should be a
classroom,
chain of
students,
command.
students feel more comfortable sometimes talking to their teacher. So they may tell the teacher, and then the teacher can help them fill out a complaint, and the complaint will go up the chain.
So when the
get
student goes
lost
to
in
the
the system.
teacher goes to the administrator. That's the next step.
Yeah, it will
no,
end
that's
up
what
to
you're
the
telling them the
administrator.
next step. That wasn't explained as the next step. There was no chain of command.
So even if it goes to a para, and the para, then the para informs the administrator, or the para informs the dean. At the end of the day, it goes up the chain of command, and it ends up, in the sky. So that we can quickly pull it up later if this child has had a bullying complaint filed or filed against them.
Well, I like the fact that they can actually put it on their, device, whatever they have. Because they may not feel comfortable talking to the adult,
Yeah.
A lot of students will find a teacher, I'm sure they can connect with. but not-
And also by it being on, on a device, another student may witness bullying and the student be afraid to report it. So they can report it anonymously on behalf of that other student, so. Huh? Any questions?
The repeated thing, is that, say you have Johnny and you have Joey, and you have one child that has bullied Johnny and also bullied Joey, but it's not a repeated offense with the same child, that is recorded under the child that's doing the bullying? I mean, you get what I'm saying? If he's just picking a child here and there and it's not necessarily the same child, I mean, because I've seen that happen before, how is that handled?
So if they report it, then it's documented and
Under
scoured.
that child's name?
Right.
I gotcha.
Right, and then like I said, if somewhere down the line, we see that Johnny has three different reports from 3 different kids, then
But
that,
it's kind of the same thing,
Right.
same behavior.
So
Right.
let me ask you this. You're saying that if you do an investigation and they are unfound, the charges are unfound,
right,
you're still keeping that child's name just in case something else come up.
right.
Well, why, if it's unfound, why are you keeping that child's name?
It says unsubstantiated.
Well,
And
but
that,
why are you kick her out? The child is not guilty of anything. We're making that child guilty of anything.
but
So why, if that person is not guilty?
first we have to do it because DOE says we have to do it.
Well, if you get me that, I would appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank you. Ms. Joseph, I would like that, what DOE say we must keep these children's name, the children who are unfound and not guilty. I want to read over that statute
okay.
in DOE.
Any more questions for Mr. Williams?
Now,
Comments?
some of that stuff that they do may not be bullying, but it's part of the discipline that they'll get. Like if they take a picture of you in the bathroom, take it over there and do it. I mean, they're gonna get something out of that. Right?
Well, if they take a picture and share it, then that's bullying.
I mean,
That's
well, if they do it one
harassment.
time, it ain't bullying.
No,
Say.
No,
If you take a picture one time and share it, it is bullying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Because of
it's
the-
going to different people.
That's
I
right.
got you.
The
Okay,
power.
okay. I got you.
Right.
Okay.
Any more questions for Mr. Williams? No, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Williams. We appreciate
you.
the information.
Thank you, Ro.
We have no amendments to the agenda. At this point, we will adopt the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I move to adopt the agenda.
We have a motion by Mr. Carroll, second. I second. Second by Ms. Knight. All in favor, raise your hand, please. Thank you. Becky, 5-0. Public comment. The Sunshine Law requires that the school board meet and perform its duties in public. This meeting in public is an opportunity for the board to discuss and make decisions around its slated agenda. Citizens have the right to observe and hear all comments made by board members. School board meetings, however, are not a meeting of the public, an opportunity for the public to comment during meetings. On behalf of my fellow board members, at this time, I would like to invite and encourage members of the audience to sign up regarding district issues. Please begin by stating your name. You will be limited to 3 minutes. This is your 3 minutes. The clock will not be stopped until your 3 minutes are completed. We will not be acting on the issues tonight unless they are part of the agenda. If you have a question, we will refer you to the proper person. Ms. Kinsley?
My name is Melissa Kinsley. I have 3 students that go to school in the school system, 2 in the 9th grade at the high school, and I have 1 in 2nd grade at Pinetta. This has to do with bus drivers, and I'm sure several of you are probably aware of the issue that I'm talking about. It's been very public. I've never questioned the school system's integrity or ability to keep children safe until this year. There is a bus driver employed by this county who has had multiple complaints filed on her. Not just by me, this is by multiple parents, probably at minimum a dozen. She began driving in August of this year, and I know of at least 10 parents who have filed complaints with the bus shop on her. These complaints range from the way she treats children to the more extreme matter of her inability to safely maneuver a bus. She's had citizens call her in for speeding, and I was informed with one bus shop meeting that a woman went so far as to use a radar gun to clock her speed to show that she was speeding on her road so quickly. She was unable to reverse the bus. I witnessed this. She's hit ditches, a fence, making an average of 75 plus hard stops a week where she's slamming the brakes on the bus. My son's glasses have been broken twice. She no longer drives this bus, but I will get to that. I've had 3 different discussions with the bus shop supervisor regarding the actions of this driver. After the last incident in February of this year, I was told she would no longer be driving a bus. I was told by other county employees that she was now working at the bus shop. And at this point in time, I have learned that while she's no longer driving my children's route, as I assured she would never be, she has been placed on a Greenville route. Since the beginning of all this, it was revealed that she was previously terminated from Hamilton County for her driving habits and for the treatment of the students on the bus. It took me a matter of less than an hour to find out all of this information from parents and Hamilton County employees. So I don't understand why the bus shop supervisor did not make this information known or why she was hired to begin with. It was revealed in my last meeting with the bus shop that they were aware that she had been terminated from Hamilton County. This leads me to ask, why is the county hiring bus drivers who have been deemed unfit to drive neighboring county students? Why as a county are we employing members after dozens of parental complaints, and not only from parents but from members of the community? This same employee has reportedly been banned from working extracurricular sport activities as she was deemed unfit and safe to transport students within this county. So why is she considered safe to transport children any other time? Several of the parents involved with this driver have reached out to board members, and they also seem to be unable to get an answer. Our concern for the children's safety in this county fell on deaf ears with the bus shop, so we're now going higher. If we keep having to climb the chain of command, I will. It's not just my children's safety that I'm concerned with, it is everybody in this county, as everybody here should be concerned with as well. If we have to keep climbing the chain of command, we will. After all, the mission statement of our schools state that the county will provide a safe environment for students. Does that stop when the students leave the school doors? It shouldn't.
Thank you, Ms. Kinsley.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Number 4, consent agenda items. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda items.
We have a motion by Ms. Hagan, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Carroll. All in favor, raise your hand. Becky, 5-0. 5, items for individual consideration. 5.1, personnel changes. Mr. Killingsworth.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This evening, I have 2 recommendations. One is a non-instructional employee recommendation. That's Ms. Ritter. And then unfortunately, the second one is for Ms. Lee. That is a resignation from the league. I also have a substitute teacher recommendation, Ms. Virginia Richardson, that will be doing part-time from time to time. That's all I have on that part.
Thank you, Mr. Killingsworth. Do we have a motion to approve the personnel changes?
I move we approve the personnel changes.
We have a motion by Mr. Carroll, second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Hagan. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Becky, 5-0. 5.2 volunteers, Mr. Killingsworth.
Yes, ma'am, we have 4 names to bring before you tonight. The first one is Ms. Stevens for Pinetta Lee, the Central School and High School. That kind of falling in the realm of the PTO, classroom field trip, extracurricular, that type of arena. The second one being Ms. Bibbins. That one is for Greenville, and that one is as well as the PTO advisory, and then a mentor, intern type and classroom field trip area. The third one is Ms. Dawson. That one is for Greenville as well, along with Central School and the high school for classroom and field trips. And then the last one is Mr. Adderley for high school and Central, dealing with, again, the mentor area, the field trips, extracurricular type activities.
Thank you, Mr. Killingsworth.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have a motion to approve the volunteers?
Madam Chair, I move to make, to accept the volunteer list.
We have a motion
suggested.
by Ms. Knight, second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Hagan. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Becky, 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Killingsworth. 5.3, staffing allocation plan.
Madam Chair, we have no additions to the staff and allocation plan at this time. I just want to keep it on the agenda, keep it front and center.
Just for our information. Thank you.
Yes, no changes.
Okay. 5.4, field trips, Ms. Joseph.
Field trips, I have, the high school band wants to go to SeaWorld on a Saturday, May 6th. And 2 of our board members wants to go to the FSBA Finance Forum Part 2 in Gainesville on April 13th and 14th. That's not a field trip, it's a staff trip. Okay, that's all the field trips I have, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was getting ahead of
Well,
myself.
thank you, Ms. Joseph. Do we have a motion to approve the field trips?
I move to approve the field trips.
We have a motion by Mr. Carroll, second.
I second the motion.
Second by Ms. Thompson. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Becky, 5-0. 5.5, travel request, Ms.
Okay.
Joseph.
Staff travel request, here I am. Okay, the Florida School Board Association Finance Forum 2.0 with Ms. Katie Knight and Devin Thompson. We have a Visions, that's part of these Bees and April Trust, and that's paid for out of that April Trust funding. And that's for Jody Price and Melissa Cherry. We have a trip to the Fizbit Conference that's paid for by Fizbit, Rose Rayneck, Sandy Fletcher, Carol Gibson, and Shirley Joseph. That's not paid for by our district directly at all. Okay, we have, this is March 13th through 17th. Olivia Bellamy is going to Lake County to get trained to be a certified bus driver trainer because we do need that in-house. And those, no, I've got one more trip. Mr. Jones, this is for June. He's doing, that's the bus driver's training this summer, June 25th through 29th. Oh, I've got another one. Adult Ed in Jensen Beach, June 12th through 13th, Ms. Barbara Thomas. Those are the staff field trips.
Thank you, Ms. Joseph. Do we have a motion to approve the staff travel request?
I move to approve the staff travel.
We have a motion by Mr. Carroll, second.
I second.
Second. Ms. Knight?
Yes.
Second by Ms. Knight. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Becky, 5-0. 5.6, Madison County High School supplements.
Okay, we're gonna have to do this in two parts because Mr. Carroll's son is on one, but the first one is, we need to add Riley Bogart, he's a baseball varsity assistant coach, and Justin Wentworth, the flag football assistant coach. We need to approve them as in those positions.
Okay,
And Mr. Carroll.
I can vote on this
you
one,
can
right?
vote on
you can
these.
vote on them, okay. All right, we have a motion, do we have a motion to approve the supplements, including the two that Mrs. Joseph mentioned? Is that all right to do that?
Yes, absolutely.
Because I don't have it written down here, so
I move to approve the supplements of those two
All right.
fellows.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Carroll.
Second.
Second by Ms. Hagan. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Becky, 5-0.
Okay, part two of this, we pay our contract coaches different than we pay our employees. Okay, at the beginning of the year, we approved Mr. Bubba Carroll as a football coach. He was our employee. He resigned, then so he resigned from everything. But he continued coaching, but we would never approved him as a contract employee. And right now, I just need to clean up my books. That was a mistake on our part because we're so used to things being in place. But before I can pay him, I need to have him approved as a contract labor to do coaching for the remainder of that football season. This has already happened, but I got to clean up my
Okay.
books.
And so, Mr. Carroll,
Yeah,
You'll abstain
I'm
from
gonna
this?
abstain from the vote
Okay.
because, he's my son.
Well, how much is he getting paid?
The total supplement was the same. He's gotten part of it. He'll just be getting the remainder of it. He won't get anything special. And
Okay, so-
I don't know exactly how
The
much.
same
that
amount
was.
as others?
It's the same amount.
Okay, good.
Do we have a motion to approve Jeremy Carroll as a supplement for the football assistant?
Madam Chair, I approve.
We have a motion by Ms. Hagan, second.
I second.
Second by Ms. Knight. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand, please. Becky, 4-0. All right. Superintendent items?
Okay, a couple of things. Spring break will be March 10th through the 17th for the students. March 10th is a work day for employees. The employees will have off March 13th through the 17th. That's spring break. But we will have our March 20th meeting as usual. So that board meeting is still in place. Reminder, tomorrow night at 5 o'clock, we're having a board workshop on policies. And I think something about insurance, the informational thing on the insurance. That's the workshop. And Thursday, we will have master board training at the extension office from 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock.
Is that at the,
It's where the 4-H place is.
is that where we had the other one?
Shame on.
Chamber of Commerce,
Oh,
oh,
is that-
no, this is gonna be at the Chamber of
Chamber of
Commerce.
Commerce, that's
This is
the
gonna be at
building
chamber
before you get
where the
there.
livestock show is.
I got you.
Okay, Chamber. That's all I have.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Joseph. Mr. Reeves?
nothing other than, we're still trying to set that the joint meeting with the county and the school board.
Okay.
We're going, we've been having trouble getting it set, through no fault of anybody's, just a lot of stuff going on. What I'm going to try to do, and I hadn't asked superintendent this, we'll try to get a conference call with everybody tomorrow where everybody can have their calendars and we can get it set.
Because I'm gonna need some information. I'll be in contact. And, I'm happy to serve with ACLU.
Yes, ma'am. And I'd received an email from a gentleman with the
Yes.
ACLU.
I did tell him. Mhm.
Yes.
Thank you.
A very nice email.
Yes.
Saying they were trying to help and all that.
Mhm.
That's it.
That's all I have.
Ms. Knight? Thank you, Mr. Reeves.
Yes, ma'am.
No, I want to acknowledge and thank the parents for showing up tonight with your concern. It helps us to be aware of situations that are, going on that we may not be privy to. So I do appreciate you for showing up and, speaking. And other than that, that's it for me tonight.
Thank you. Ms. Thompson?
sorry.
You're okay. Ms. Thompson?
I too would like to thank you for coming. As a parent, I understand your concerns, and I really appreciate you coming and making us aware of the situation. I would also like to say thank you to Lee Elementary. I enjoyed spending the day there last week for Read Across America Day. I hope everybody that's here tonight has a wonderful night, and thank you all for everything that you do.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Mr. Carroll?
I'd just like to thank everybody for coming. Rod, I appreciate that, presentation. I got bullied a bunch in Greenville, boy, back in the day.
Was Rod one of them?
No, you were. But anyway, thank y'all all for coming. Appreciate that.
I would like to thank everybody for coming. Thank you very much. And have a good night. Let's go eat supper.
I also had the pleasure of visiting Lee Elementary. I saw Ms. Thompson there that day. I went from there on to Pinetta to celebrate Dr. Seuss's birthday. And I'd like to recognize the Madison County High School CNA program, the Certified Nursing Assistants, taught by Mrs. Diane Webb. She has a 100% pass rate. 20 of the 20 students have taken the test and passed, and very good. And they fully expect the other 7 to pass as well, which I think is going to be within a week. So congratulations to the CNAs, and thank you for this fabulous instructor. On February 20th, I'll get it out there. As chair, I headed out to the livestock show. As a chair, I handed out ribbons, and I'd like to thank all those who were involved. And I'd like to especially thank our ag teacher, Kaylee Jenkins, for what she does for our students each and every day at the high school. And Mr. Rob, thank you very much for coming tonight. We appreciate all the information, and we appreciate what you do. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
We have a motion by Ms. Knight. Second?
Second.
Second by Mr.
Carroll.
Carroll. All in favor?
Excuse me.
Becky, 5-0.